So it's too cold. Okay, so it's just so Trish and it's Mama Chat. I've totally messed up today. I didn't do my time management very well, so I'm a little bit late, running a little bit late. And then I started Mama Chat and I set it for private and it didn't work really well. So then I reset it. So here we are. We're back. We're back. Okay, so today we are going to talk about keto. Hooray! Thank you. Okay, now everybody's there. Thank you, because nothing was happening on the last round, so I wasn't sure like what was going on. Never had that happen. Hey, lady. Hey, Joelle. So, yeah. So definitely just running. Just did my hair. Got my eyebrows done. Oh my goodness, I've been meaning to do that forever. Every time I filled them in, I kept coming out like Eddie Monster. Like I was just like, and I wasn't meaning to, but it just wasn't working out. So there you go. Oh my goodness, y'all made it. Okay, good. I'm so happy to have y'all here. I'm talking to myself for like 5-6 minutes. I was like, something's not right here. Where is everybody at? So, you guys, I just posted this morning on Instagram. Wasn't that a crazy picture? I'm going to tell you, like, that picture of me in the pink had a lot to do with inflammation. And if the picture I'm referring to is the one on Instagram, fixing lunch for toddlers. Yay. So, was the one on Instagram. Let me show it to you. My phone's about to be dead. We are doing this in my room because now I have my like room really nice and set up. This is like some of the projects I did. So like what I've had like all these shelves here, but they weren't really very orderly. So I went, and while my husband was gone, I went and got, these are the mainstay style. So I got this mainstay drawers, and then a little Dollar Tree decor over there. Just the really cheap Dollar Tree frames that are really light. So I took the backs off them so they were even lighter, and one of the little, like memories, not things kind of deal. Yes. And so now that I've got my room somewhat under control, I'm like, oh, I could video in here. Actually, I've been doing a really good job, especially after like last week we talked about just doing the best with what you got, and not, instead of living a life pining for what you don't have or waiting for what you don't have. I've done 6 garbage bags out of this house. It has been phenomenal. I took a furniture out. I'd like to update my furniture, but it started really just getting into the conversation with my kids, like, be picky. With the fact that we can only have so little, then only have the best. And that has been like a new theory in ours, because, and my husband's right there with us. I mean, listen, we're going to kind of come off as like reformed hoarders in many ways, because one, we get blessed with so much, and my husband's always like, we should keep that, we should keep that. In fact, I have to get rid of stuff when he's not looking. We should keep everything. And I'm like, I know what it's like to live with keeping everything. So I'll tell you, for the first time, today was the first time. Now, I had one dish in there, but it wasn't my own. It was definitely for my kids. But waking up with clean counters and a clean sink for the first time in a year and a half in this house was huge. And the only way we could do it was by actually getting rid of all the stuff we don't need, and just coming to realize like how much stuff I thought was necessity, which is just abundance, and that there's a cost to having abundance with it. So that's kind of a little recap from last week. If you weren't here last week, you didn't watch that last week, head over and watch last week's chat. I will tell you, I should put a link in here. We didn't kick into this conversation until like the 30-minute mark, right around the 30-minute mark. And then I really just bring it home. But if you want to go out there, I know clean counters was huge for me, because I had so much that's just occupying space. I went through all my spices. I actually took everything out of the cabinets, wiped them down. I thought, like the little containers, the purple lid containers that Catherine at Do It on a Dime always shows off from Dollar Tree. I thought I overbought them, as I bought a lot of them. And I got down to them and I used every one of them, and I needed more. So I actually ran to the Dollar Tree today and grabbed some more of those up and got them getting ready to use them. I haven't had a chance to get them out yet. So I want to say thank you, ladies, for making it over here. So today, well, the other day I found this picture on my husband's phone. I was like, what? I didn't really like that picture. I think I showed it to you the other day. So I posted it on Instagram, and then I started getting some questions like, what is lazy keto? In fact, when I was at the hair shop, they're like, okay, I don't understand. I was just like, well, I'm going to fixing to talk all about it on YouTube. So maybe you'll come back and watch, right? Come back and watch. Let me see. Let me grab my picture up. So my husband had taken this photo, and I just am like, why? Wow, I so need to do this small place decluttering. Yes, I know. Thank you, Tracy. Just started the keto. Awesome. Um, this was my picture. I'm going to tell you, I didn't realize it had gotten this bad. Okay. I didn't know. I'm putting that out there. You see it? Oh, it's not focusing. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Oh, come on, focus. You probably see it better that way. So you see how my cheeks have cheeks and my chin has chins in the whole 9 yards. And talk about not, oh, I'm so glad you guys are here. Talk about like not realizing it had gotten that bad. Like I realized it had gotten that bad. In fact, one of my realizations that it had gotten this bad is a sweater. This sweater, you're going to see obviously. I love this sweater. I'm not getting rid of this sweater, but this sweater is a 1X. Okay. 1X. I was to the point that's what was going to be fitting. The large wasn't cutting it anymore. Mama needed bigger. But now I just absolutely love the sweater. I wear it with a lot of tank tops, especially with summer. It's kind of turning into an off-the-shoulder sweater. But I had realized like things were getting out of control again because I was overeating. And now this is like, and I'm kind of like just in the background of this, 16 and a half years ago, I walked into my first Weight Watcher meeting and I got control of my weight for the first time. But never once did I just keep it off. I would get it down, I would gain it back, get it down, gain it back. And literally, I'm actually known for, but you always get it back off, but I'm always putting it back on. Now, granted, I've had 6 kids in that, but I've also had a lot of issues with anxiety, with depression, with postpartum, with doing that and being under stress and not being able to handle my stress well. I've had a lot of times where my blood sugar's crashing and burning and my mood is right there with it. Lots and lots of years. So I tried Trim Healthy Mama and I couldn't figure it out. And nothing was happening, didn't lose weight. And if you go back and look at my older videos, you're just going to be like, that was you? That was you? Really? Yeah. And I have one from when I did like a little combination of like how far I've come. And that turned out really cool. But I got back down and I'm like, my like number is 150. If I get to 150, I'm a size like 6, which is phenomenal. And I got right back up. I went under stress. My whole body crashed on me after doing like, I would get so much weight off and then my body would crash. And when I'm talking crash, I had another video where I put on about doing blessed herbs because like I couldn't get off the couch. And that was when I was doing Mama Gets Fit with Tangi. And her and I were doing it. And I was just like, I'm like gung-ho. And I'm like, there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. And what was happening was my body was crashing. And as I've gotten older, it's become very apparent. And so I've done keto 2 other times before. This is my first time successfully doing keto. First time. And by some definitions, it's not very successful. And by others, it's extremely successful. So I'm going to tell you about that. But what I was doing wrong with the keto is I was turning it into a meat diet, and keto is not a meat diet. Keto is a fat diet. It is a diet built on fat. And when I say diet, it is a lifestyle of eating that's built on fat. Some people are on a lifestyle that's built on legumes and being vegan, and it's called vegan. And some people are, on vegetables or whatever, that's not meat, and that's a vegetarian. And then there's keto. And I always say keto is like eating meat, but keto is a diet based on fat and no to low carb. So what would happen was because I would eat too much meat, I would start gaining weight in really weird places. So I was always a sugarholic, always been a sugarholic, and an overeater. Just that's how it was. And so as a sugarholic and an overeater, my weight is right here. Like this is where my weight gains, right here, right here. But as a keto meat eater, I would gain weight here, which was really strange for me. So I would gain it on inside my thighs and on my hips. And that was like a really strange one for me because that's never where I gained weight at. And then all of a sudden I'm gaining weight there and I'm not really losing weight on my tummy, but now I'm gaining weight in new places. So I'd get really, really terrified and like, what's going on? This is not working. So I was also about the beginning of the summer dealing with the realization that I have some serious overeating issues and trying to pinpoint why I'm overeating, because what I've noticed over the years is I'm going to eat a lot and I'm never satisfied. And I'm going to eat and eat and eat, and I don't have a shut off point. And if I'm eating Weight Watchers, I'm eating healthy, good food, good food. And really none of the food is good or bad. It's just, it's just food. But I've turned it into that. And I would just overeat on good food and I would lose a lot of weight really quickly on low fat, no fat, the whole 9 yards. Or I would not be doing Weight Watchers and I would eat a lot of food that was not good for my system in that quantity. And why I think Weight Watchers has led me to be an overeater, and I don't think the program is like designed to do this to you. I just think this is like consequences of the program, is I have so many points. And the game, and I was verbal about this, the game I played with Weight Watchers was how much can I eat for those points? It was all about quantity. The unfortunate part was it was at a quantity that was unsatisfying anyways, because there wasn't any fat for my brain. And so I would just eat massive, massive amounts of quantity, and it turned me into really expanding my stomach to the point that there was no satisfaction. So as long as I was eating vegetables, we were fine. The moment I filled it with starches and meat and sugar, it was a bottomless pit. And so that kind of moved me into the cycle of overeating. And when I would do keto with the meat, I was overeating still. And I think at one point or two, I got fat adapted, but I'm not quite sure. I know that I could get into ketosis pretty quickly on that. Whenever I've done it the few times that I could get in ketosis pretty quickly. So I went to camp, and I'm telling you, I am carb loading. I kind of did the little video with my friend there for the large family keto meal plan. And I have a video with her on Facebook also, but I was carb loading. I'm talking ramen noodles, cookies, donuts, carb loading, sugar loading. And to a point, I made myself sick because there's no turn off. There's no like satisfaction. There's no like, I'm good. And I think I've gotten to 40 years in, 17 years of kind of, I hate to call it yo-yo dieting, but it does feel a little yo-yo dieting. At 40 years old, my self-control's gone. There's too much stress. I live in too much stress. My self-control is gone. And so the idea that I could self-control a sense of when to stop eating is also gone on that aspect too. Yeah, so I totally carb load. And at the same time, a friend of mine who I'd noticed had been losing weight, who's doing keto, and I'm like, good for you, doesn't work for me. I watched what she ate all weekend. It was like 4 days. I watched what she ate for the 4 days doing keto, and I was shocked. It wasn't very much food. And when I watched, it wasn't very much meat. Like she would do a salad, a reasonable salad, and she would put piles of guacamole and dressing on it, and then like 2 strips of meat, and that was it. I'm like, wait a minute, what? And I would look at the what she ate, and what I was amazed at, the quantity was small, the meat was very limited, and it was mostly vegetables. It was mostly fats with guacamole or eggs or butter. That was mostly what it was. And she was doing it at camp, and nor was she even tempted to eat the junk as I was like pile driving it in my mouth. So I was just flabbergasted, and I was like, I need to re-look at this again, because obviously I was doing keto wrong. And that's when I realized I've been doing it wrong, and I need to figure out how to do it right. And I need to do it in a way that can balance in my life with 6 kids, homeschooling, tiny space living, that I could balance in my life, that could be doable. And it's something that I have to live with, whatever I choose to do, to keep control. Because I'm going to tell you, I was at my my annual appointment to do all my blood work and all of that. And I was in tears. I'm like, I am so sick and tired of either be losing it or gaining it, but never just the same. That I can't just stay one way. And to be honest, in the last 4 weeks, I've been the same weight, just about 2 pounds, just 2 pounds difference in 4 weeks. Not 2 pounds lost, 2 pounds up and down, up and down, up and down, which in all reality is actually staying a constant weight, which is huge. So I got a feeling it's eventually going to fall off. It's going to come off, whatever. So I decided I was going to keto. And keto, whatever, progress, not perfection keto. And just by nature, by natural selection, it's legit lazy keto. I do not count anything at all. I don't document anything at all. And I eat real food, and I eat fast food, and I eat what works. I'm going to tell you today, I think I popped out lunch around noon. No, 12:45, 12:30. That was my first meal of the day. Was at 12:30 in the afternoon. It was guacamole and some Capello, whatever stuff. Lunch meat. I think it's still in my purse, because I literally ran in the house to get started. It is in my purse. So I ate an 8-ounce. I went to the grocery store because it was right next to the hair place. And I ate 8 ounces of guacamole. And then I bought this 3-ounce deli. Yeah, it was a quick sale. That's why I bought it. But it was spicy hot, so I loved it even more. I'm gonna totally butcher this. I'm just sorry. I'm not that gracious. Capicola. There it is, Capicola. So I bought a 3-ounce thing of Capicola. I maybe ate an ounce, and I'm good. I'm not gonna eat anymore. But my biggest relief is not being controlled by sugar. Now I have times like where I've gone to the movie. I'm not gonna deprive myself, but I'm not going to sabotage myself either. So if I go to the movies, I love butter popcorn, and I'm going to have it. So in the 2 months, I've gone twice, and I've had butter popcorn. This last time I ate so much, I got sick. And I'm a little bit like, yeah, I'm not, and I was sugar crashing the whole time. So that didn't work out well. Kind of deal. So there you go. All right. So what is it, and what is it that I do? So let me first answer these questions. What's my thoughts on apple cider vinegar? I love Good Girl moonshine. Let me tell you, I drink it a lot. That actually, if I do the apple cider vinegar, I will get more of my waters in through Good Girl moonshine than if I just try to drink water. It doesn't work out well. So I love apple cider vinegar. I'm not always getting it in, but I do love it. There you go. I always feel hungry when I eat carbs. Yeah, almost missed you. So happy you're here. Thank you. I do a mod keto. If I'm short on carbs, I crave sugar. So I have more carbs than my husband. There you go. Stacy says, hello, Trish. Hope you're feeling well. I found out yesterday, 3-week visiting since my surgery, that colon cancer that it is colon cancer. Okay. Oh, okay. So it's not lung cancer, it's still colon. There you go. All right. We'll pray for you. Creative Mind says, that's how I do eating when it's something I love. Oh, yeah. Just eat till I'm sick. But I'm to the point, like, we're going to go to the movies in a couple of weeks. We're going to go to the movies in a couple of weeks. And to be honest, I don't know if I'll have the popcorn again. I'm kind of a little bit like, I'm good. My husband and I went on a date Monday, and I ate so much popcorn, I felt like I had drank a bucket of grease. So the grease part didn't get me. It was actually feeling my mood and my blood sugar jumping from it. Please keep my family in your prayers. I will, Stacy, for sure. So what happened was I came home, and so I talked to my friend. I would literally sit her down at camp and drill her like, okay, explain to me. And she recommended I do the 3-day beef and butter fast. The beef and butter fast. I feel like I got an ant bite right there. I could have an ant bite. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like an ant bite. Okay, anyway, the beef and butter fast. So I looked it up online, and essentially you just take ground beef. I kind of drained it because the beef fat makes me a little bit, I don't feel good. You take the beef, you cook it, you season it the way you want, you add butter, and you eat that. I did it in the way of a hamburger. I just did a hamburger patty. So I did that. And one of the big things I did was I tried to kind of do brunch instead of breakfast and lunch. So one of my problems I ran into was I'd start eating at 6 in the morning, I'd eat at noon, and I'd eat at dinner, and I just was eating all day long. And so one of the things I tried to do, not to kind of jump into intermittent fasting, but just kind of make it easier, I would have brunch around 10 because that was a good time for me. I'd eat brunch. And then if I needed to, I'd eat something fattening. And then I would eat, like cream cheese or a spoonful of like non-sugar peanut butter. And then I would eat dinner. And for dinner, I would then have another hamburger patty. So we had something crazy going on. Like my husband didn't even notice I wasn't really eating dinner kind of deal. In fact, I didn't even tell him I was doing it for the longest time. And so I did that for 2 days, the first 2 days. The second day I ate it with salad. I buy the big, huge container of mixed greens. I plunked down a handful. I put the hamburger on top, blue cheese dressing, and I ate that. And I drank the Powerade Zero to keep from getting the keto flu from not having enough electrolytes, because if you keep your electrolytes up, you're good. I ate that. And then from that point on, I just kept kind of eating some version of that. I just kept it really simple. I would eat salad or broccoli steamed with butter and chicken thighs or hamburger. I know this sounds so boring, but I didn't want a lot of choices. I didn't want to overcomplicate it. I didn't want to find, my girlfriend makes bread in a mug all the time. I didn't want bread in a mug. I just wanted it simple. I was at the point I needed simple. And so that's all I ate for about a week was that. And I noticed immediately my fingers. In fact, I was using my rings, which again, I keep taking my rings off in the middle of the night because that's just kind of what I do. And I would use my rings as my indicator, well, my other ring, but I'd use my rings as an indicator of like how swollen I was or how inflammation I had, because I realized by that point I was so inflamed. In that picture, I'm obviously so inflamed. And a lot of it was inflammation. So I'd sit there and I'd watch my hands and I'd watch my wrist on the inflammation. And I noticed immediately the first week my inflammation was dropping. Just really quickly, it was dropping off. And I think I waited a couple of days. So this is my big, it's all I need to change it up anyways. This is my chart. So my scale's right down here behind the door. And I waited a couple of days because I was afraid of how much I weighed when I came back, because I knew I'd gotten back down to 168. And I'm going to tell you, this whole time, I'm still signed up for Weight Watchers. Yeah. I got to cancel that. I'm going to probably do it today. Not the meeting ones, just the other ones. Okay. So I made this little chart kind of deal. So by the time I finally, the 6th of July, it was when I finally recorded what it was, when I finally got on the scale, I was 177.3. And in that first week, I probably dropped 5 pounds in that first week. But I'm going to tell you, most of that was inflammation, just inflammation. And so as time went on, I'd been following week, I dropped half a pound. Then I dropped then began the inevitable same weight I've been dropping. So the first 3 weeks, I dropped 6 pounds. First 3 weeks, 6 pounds. 3, 4, 5. 5 weeks later, I've not dropped any more weight. And that was getting really frustrating to me. And I'm going to tell you, because I'm not dropping weight. I get on that scale and nothing's different. And I kind of had to have a little sit down talk with myself, because guess what I wanted to eat? I wanted to eat donuts. And then I kind of realized I wasn't eating enough fat. And I had to sit down with myself, because I was like, I feel better. Okay, I don't just feel like physically like, oh, I feel better. I feel, psychologically, I feel clear. I feel, and I didn't get this before when I was eating too much meat. And I feel clear. I feel, my anxiety and my moods are very level. Stress doesn't have nearly the toll on me as though it did. Yeah. And then digestively, I feel better. Oh my goodness. Digestively kind of wins Mac Daddy of them all for me. Digestively, I feel better. I'm not having issues with, sometimes you can have issues with constipation. You're not drinking enough water, kind of deal, or fiber, get some fiber in there. But, like that aspect felt better. I wasn't having like stomach aches. I was getting to the point I ate so much. I had stomach aches from the amount of carbs I was eating, and I don't have that anymore. And I just kind of had to tell myself, I'm like, maybe 170 is it. And you have a choice right now. And you can either be right where you're at, or you can go back to where you were. Where do you want to be? And I was like, I want to be right where I'm at. Okay. Well, what happens if I told myself, maybe you have to eat this way just to stay where you're at, not to lose, just to stay where you're at. And are you willing to do that? And I'm kind of like, okay, I'm willing to do that kind of deal. But then I started measuring. I only started measuring like a ding dong, like somebody procrastinating 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I started measuring. In the last 2 weeks, I've lost this part here, the part where you buy your bra at, the inch part. I lost 1.5 inches around my rib cage. I'm now 34 inches around there. My belly button, I lost 2 inches in 2 weeks around my belly button. And around my hips, I lost 1.25 inches. But my weight has not changed at all. And I went, oh, there's something else going on here. And one of the things I learned on Trim Healthy Mama was that sometimes your scale doesn't move because your body's fixing damage. And when I shared my picture of my before and after picture today, I had people that are like, yeah, I really noticed you've been toning up. I'm like, I haven't been to a gym. I've been really lazy. It's stinking hot here. I've not been to a gym. So, let me check on this. Green Gable says, it's fear of making myself sick that keeps me in check with my food choices. Sugar gets me bad. Yeah, I don't handle sugar very well. And I have a family full of diabetics. So there you go. Vicky says, I feel that it was meant that I catch you live today. I am going to start this, but I need to keep it simple because I get anxious with so much info to process and plan. That's right. I totally get it. This seems like a lifestyle that I could keep up with. It has been amazing. So how does this affect your grocery budget? It's actually getting better. Now, one, I have a really high grocery budget because my daughter has all of her food intolerances. So that's kind of a hard one. And there's 8 of us. And I buy a lot of convenience foods. Hey, yes. No, you're not floating Legos. Not right now, okay? Maybe. In the pool tomorrow. Okay. He's so funny. One of the things also that I worked on was being fat adapted. And I started, there's a YouTube channel called 6 Miles to Supper. And she's an intermittent faster. She doesn't do a particular diet. She intermittent fasts till dinner. She only eats dinner. I think she only eats between 6 and 8 o'clock. And she tries to get 6 miles in before then. I think that's like 12 or 15,000 steps. And then on Sunday, she eats whatever she wants. So that Sunday, she eats extra stuff. And I listened to her where she really talked about her beginning videos. And she's like, I gradually eased into intermittent fasting. She goes, I didn't just one day say I'm going to intermittent fast. And taking that information, I did the same thing. And what I did was oh, hurry back. I hope you get done quickly. That's to Compass Rose. I just seen she's going to run out and run back. Anyways, I just eased into it. So I made it from the very beginning. I will stop eating at 8 p.m. Whatever it is, 8 p.m. I'm done eating. And so at first I was like, I'm not going to start eating till 10. So that was huge for me. Just eat between 10 and 8 p.m. But the big part about it is you don't really want to squeeze that window until you're fat adapted. And you'll kind of notice when you're fat adapted, you're not craving sugar anymore. Your body has learned to efficiently turn. Sometimes it takes a week, sometimes it takes a month. Probably took me about a week to do that. And once I was kind of there where I wasn't craving sugar anymore, it wasn't hard, it wasn't difficult, I started shrinking my window. So I would go till, not right now, right now. Let me finish this, okay? Tomorrow, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah, he's on a path. A little hyper focus going on there. So I just started shrinking once I, was comfortable, didn't feel like work, to noon to 8, to 2 to 8. There were days that it was really easy and I didn't even realize I was doing it. And I intermittent fast through the whole day. So one of the things they talk about intermittent fast, your body doesn't go into starvation mode until 3 days. And the really cool part is it can kick you into ketosis very quickly by intermittent fasting. It can level out your blood sugar by intermittent fasting. It kind of turns your body, and I think it's the 18-hour mark, something around there. Don't quote me. I'm not a professional. I'm lazy. I'm just saying what I've read is that you really start shedding disease cells with a 16-hour fast, I think it is. You start doing that. And what was crazy was as I started doing a little bit of intermittent fasting, I immediately felt great. Now, I'm not doing a full day fast. There's only was like 2 times in the last 2 months, and I haven't done it lately. And what it started making me realize is how much I ate out of boredom or stress. And what I've also learned is if I started craving things like sugar and all that, then I was really actually not getting enough fat. I need to up my fat. So I started doing that. And that was the biggest thing because I will tell you very, very quickly. I think I began intermittent fasting after about a week or 2. My appetite went down amazingly. Like I don't eat much. In fact, I'm to the point like now I realize my stomach can handle just over 8 ounces and that's it. So I've in the 2 months and really within a month, my stomach began shrinking down to the normal form. And they say like your stomach's the size of 2 fists. Well, geez, that would be just one part of my meal, not the whole part. And now I'm like, yeah, it's 2 fists. That's legit what my stomach is. That's how much I can eat. One of the problems I've run into is that I will snack while I cook and then dinner comes and I'm full. And I'm like, oh, I'm not hungry. So usually Wednesdays, I don't eat dinner because of church. It's just really easy not to eat dinner. And then by the time I get home, it's 8 o'clock, so I don't eat. I've been really loose lately. One of the things I've kind of into a problem is chocolate. So I've been eating sugar-free chocolate, which I'm sure it throws me out of ketosis, but I'm like, I don't know. So here's the thing. I don't count anything. The only thing I try to do is loosely stick to a noon to 8 p.m. eating schedule so I don't eat until noon. I will go out to eat. It's not always perfect. I will buy, hold on a second. Orville, can you please keep it down? But please don't frustrate him. Boys. So I just kind of loosely there. And my goal is progress, not perfection. So I don't get caught up. I don't count. If it's a green vegetable, I don't count up in it. Sometimes I have a potato, but if I'm going to eat the carbs, I eat them at night. I eat them with my dinner. So our food bill, temporary more, we had to get a few extra things. My daughter's not on keto. But the side part about that is like with my appetite being smaller, I eat so much less that I feel like it's changing the way I cook. And in the end, I feel like we're spending less. So right now I'm buying a lot of processed garbage for my kids because I'm studying for that exam, and this is called survival mode. But I feel like the reason I can handle living like I'm living, the stress I'm under, is because I eat so much fat, is the big part. But my kids aren't on keto. My husband's not on keto. My daughter with the food intolerances eats a lot like keto because she can't digest the other stuff, but she eats sugar and honey and things like that. So she's not really on keto. She's not in ketosis. She just eats like she's in keto. She eats a lot of high fat on it. Five Oaks says, we just moved from California to South Dakota and I gained some weight on the way getting here. I've been thinking about keto, but still thinking about it. Awesome. It's working for you. Yes. And this is the first time it's really working for me. But I'm realizing like it definitely has, I feel like a long run. Most times I just don't feel like I'm on a diet. People think I'm just eccentric in what I eat. My lunch was $6 and I still have 2/3 of my cup of kilo. Can you wait until I get done here in about 20 minutes, please? Yeah. Thank you. They're so much fun. This is what's fun about doing videos in here. So what do you do for fiber? Well, a couple of my muffins in a mug or bread ones have a lot of fiber, like psyllium fiber. I naturally get a lot of fiber. So it's good. So if I was counting carbs, it would be net carbs. I'd minus fiber out and sugar, alcohol, because I probably need to control my sugar, alcohol a lot, but I don't do that very well. So anyway, what was I saying? Was the kids totally distract me. So I do get the fiber, but I eat a lot of salads. I eat a lot of salads, and reality is there's a lot of times I just crave salads. That's kind of all I want to eat, because I'm getting what I need from it. Have I had any fat bombs? My favorite fat bomb is a cookie dough by Keto Connect. So I like Dr. Berg and all, and that's great, but I really enjoy the pair from Keto Connect. They, to me, are just more reasonable on what to do. I'm not into like their whole whatever, but they have some amazing recipes. They have a 90-second bread that they've put together that you kind of make a mix and then you can take the mix and make a bread. And I've enhanced that to be sweet. So I've had pure cinnamon and maple flavoring. And then from there, I'll make it and then I dip it in eggs and I make French toast out of it. Oh my goodness. When I made that, phenomenal. And I was just like, and that's the big part, is learning to find those things. I'm not pursuing to eat that stuff every day. For me, that's not something that works. It's too complicated, where I can just cook a bunch of chicken thighs. I buy the chicken thighs, I cook chicken thighs, and I make a side, and then I kind of eat off that through the week, keeping it simple. The big part for me is I'm not looking for food all the time. And I don't know if you've dealt with this. With me being an overeater, I was always craving and looking for something. I was always looking for my next meal, my next thing. And this is what's been huge for me, because I don't have that desire. Now, I like my chocolate, and I could probably buy myself stock in Lily's chocolate with the amount I love chocolate. And there's another one called Choc Zero. Oh my goodness, so good, so expensive, just as expensive as Lily's. And so then I buy the stuff for sugar-free. I like my chocolate, but you know what? Hold on a second. I'm going to tell you this right now. I am in the midst of a video, and if you think you're going to be pulling some problems, and if you're not working together, no, I'm looking at you. We're going to have large problems when I get off of here. Do you understand me? You both need to go do something else. Tweens and teens, aren't they lovely? Those are the ones I'm having problems with. Not the like 4-year-old or 5-year-old, not the 3-year-old, the 13 and the 12-year-old. Anyways. So if your stomach is the size of 2 fists and you're putting more into it, are you stretching your stomach and then it has to build itself back to being smaller? Yes. But it does it pretty quickly, honestly. It will get really quick. And I was even surprised by that. I love to make cocoa booms. It's like chocolate bars. I need to make that, or peanut butter ones. Oh, I made a peanut butter one that was so good too. Can you have nuts on keto? Does nuts have natural fat? Yes, nuts are good for you. I mean, you got to watch out for however many carbs. I'm locking that door. They're trying to get in. I locked it. Anyway, so I have nuts. I do have an issue with pistachios, and I'll eat the entire bag. So I stopped buying pistachios. But I will do, Walmart now carries the Hershey's sugar-free chocolate chips. So I buy like one of those bags, they're $5, but I'll buy one of those bags every 2 weeks. So about 2 of those a month. And I mix them with chopped pecans and kind of like a trail mix. I love those. Those are so, so good. But if I melted them, I'd love them even more. Chocolate and pasta are my hardest cravings. Don't eat anything that would require you to feel like you have to have pasta. And get the zero pasta. So you can buy the whatever noodles, the Kanak noodles at Walmart in the produce section, or you can buy them in a box, a 6-pack from Amazon. Yeah, you can buy it from Amazon. Look, I picked something else. I've been picking my face. And you can get those. Now the trick with them, when you open them, they smell like fish. That's just how it is. They smell like fish. You have to drain them, rinse them, soak them, drain them, rinse them, soak them, drain them, and then you need to wait. And then heat them up. So sometimes I'll do like butter and garlic and shrimp, and then I'll put those noodles in. The other day I did a pad thai. That was just phenomenal kind of deal. What is your go-to lunch? Thinking of slowly adding in some meals. So my go-to lunch, if I'm out and about, is either a little tub of guacamole. That's my go-to lunch if I'm out and about. Or like a Dave's double stack, no bread, and a side Caesar salad. That's it. That's kind of my go-to lunch. If I'm home, I have found, and I actually went and found the rings to make them. I will do 2 eggs, kind of like the way they cook them for a McGriddle, not a McGriddle, egg McMuffin. You know how they cook them circle with a little bit of a pop that's still kind of there. And then a couple pieces of bacon, a little bit of cheese, and I'll make like a little sandwich like that, and I eat that, and that's really good. Or I'll have like leftover chicken in a salad. The other day I had a fat bomb. It was like phenomenal. I wasn't planning it for it to be this way. It had some sugar in it. My favorite little coffee shop in the middle of nowhere, because that's what we have, has a brownie, a gluten-free brownie. And I'm just like, what's in it so I can know if I can feed my daughter? It's literally egg, avocado, cashew butter. The only part had a little bit of sugar, and it had like stevia in it. Had a little bit of sugar, was the chocolate chips. And I'm like, listen, you can go get sugar-free chocolate chips. Tell me you're going to do it. Anyways, I bought it. I bought one for my daughter, one for me. Oh my goodness, so rich and so delicious. And then it hit me like I didn't eat again until dinner because it was such a loaded fat bomb, and it was only like that big. It was huge. It was huge. It was like that big by that thick. It was a phenomenal kind of deal. I love egg roll in a bowl, so I try to like freeze some of that and eat that from time to time, or soup kind of deal. But just really, really simple. But usually, like in the first month, my go-to was I'd fry up a hamburger and have some salad. I'd buy the big bag of hamburger patties, cook it, season it, eat a salad, done. I'm having a hard time with no sugar, no grain thing. You have to load up the fat in order to get past that. That's the hardest part, to get past that, and then stop making food that mimics that, and just stay away for a while, and then you're pretty good. My sister gives my other sister 3 fingers when she's angry with her. She makes what is this? She makes the ASL sign, you love you sign, and says in a huff, Jesus loves you. I get 50 eggs a day. I should start. Well, that's the other one too, is I want to start doing. I just went and bought an extra thing of eggs. I want to boil eggs and do an egg salad, because the gal from Keto Connect, her like go-to is egg salad. And really stay away from typical mayonnaise if you can, and upgrade your mayonnaise, because you don't want to be eating soybean oil. Soybean oil is not a good one. But and most everything's made of soybean oil in your dressing. So I buy like the cold dressings, the Maria's dressings in the thing. And what's nice is, because I'm not eating a bunch of stuff. Before I was spending money on the Weight Watchers snacks, the Weight Watchers candy, and I was eating so much food, and all of it would add up, that now like I'm gonna have the $5 container of dressing. It's gonna last me 2 weeks. That's it ends up working out to be cheaper because I'm not buying so much stuff right now. Those noodles will yuck even if after I did that. Yeah, it took me a while. The first few times I threw them out, but I learned to like them. Well, and the thing is it takes a trick. And if you read the directions that actually do, I wasn't reading the directions. I just like drain them. But if you cook them a little bit, it gets that flavor out too. And then they absorb flavor very easily. So that's a good part about it too. What a great change of perspective when you're angry, right? Oh, I thought years ago with the Atkins diet, people were having issues with cholesterol. Have you had any with that yet? I don't know yet because I am just not getting my blood work done. Did I read that before? You just retracted it. That sounds good too. I need some running around with appointment options for me so that I can eat and get my nutrition in. I hate running around and I'm a homebody. Well, the big part too is I can now run around and not eat. You deleted that. Oh, it's all right. Well, and I don't know about the cholesterol part. I know that your body does need some cholesterol. And some of the problems is we've been fed a lot of like, this is bad and this is good kind of deal. But here's like the funny part is like before I felt like I was eating, and I wasn't getting nutritionally fed. And now I feel like I'm hardly eating, but I'm being nutritionally fed. And some of that I came to the realization when we had the vomiting spree, the Puka-Palooza, was when my vomit, unfortunately, not to be disgusting and not to gross you out, but when my turn came that I got sick, I only got sick the one time. It had been almost 24 hours since I ate. And what blew me away was the condition my food was still in. And I realized it takes a lot longer to digest than I gave myself credit for. And which meant when I was always eating, I was always piling more and more food there. And I was probably, in my mind, probably pushing food out that my body never had the time to really digest. And I think having less is actually healthier for your body. And I've heard that before. Not to turn into this and that, but I've heard that before. So one of the big things I've done, y'all kind of gave me the challenge about food. How do I meal plan? I kind of laughed. I said, I don't. I paired up with my girlfriend that's been helping me, and she is helping me do a meal plan. It's a large family meal plan, but it's set up for 4 or more. If you have 4, you could do 4, but if you have 8, look, the number's already there. And we're just kind of coming up. So our one for July family meal plan, you can find them on justsotrish.blogspot.com, is just kind of really more involved than I prefer to do. But we wanted to kind of like pizzazz it up. But then this August meal plan will be very much sticking to very quick basics for food. We also don't work as hard as they used to. We work hard, but don't get me wrong, but in a different kind of way. I think, yeah. So I want to say like Keto Connect, the cookie dough is phenomenal. Their bread is phenomenal. Most of the Keto Connect recipes I found online are amazing. Absolutely amazing. The other aspect is, I'm trying to remember. Oh, so this week we did tacos. So I had a taco salad. They had tacos. I did fried fish and I used, what is it? I used pork rinds, crushed up the pork rinds. Even my husband was like, I like the keto fish better than my fish. And my daughter was just thrilled to have something fried. She was just like, that's amazing. And then, what else did we have? Breakfast for dinner. So we did breakfast for dinner this week, and I just made keto bread French toast. And we were happy with some sausage, and they were happy having pancakes. And so like trying to learn how to live something that if this is what fits for you, and then make the few variations for the rest of the family so nobody feels left out. And I'm not trying to feed them all keto because that would be expensive, but just enough to keep me on. And then the fact that I don't eat as much, it works out really good. So let's see. We also don't work. Okay. I'm so happy that you have found a way of eating that works for you and makes you feel better mentally. It takes a long time to figure out what works. I agree, because I almost feel as though it's a blessing that my weight isn't changing because, but yet everything else is changing too, is, I'm usually really caught up in what that scale says, and I'm being forced to not be caught up in it. And I'm being forced, like, am I willing to eat this way if the scale doesn't change? And just because I feel better, am I willing to live this way because I'm feeling better? I'm going to tell you, when I went and I seen my midwife, because my midwife does all my annual blood work, she is vegan. She was not excited to hear I was doing keto. And she was like, you need to be fruits and you need to be vegetables, and she's very much like, and I'm just like, but I'm going to tell you, if I eat lentils, all right, Doris, we'll see you a little bit later then. I'm like, I feel sick to my stomach. And like, now I'm really coming to realize, like, I don't want to feel this way. I'm trying to drink my water. I'm trying to. And so she's really gotten on to me and pushing me to eat the colors. And she's like, 3/4 of your plate should be all the colors of the rainbow for vegetables, which I think is unreasonable to think every time you eat it's going to be that way. I think you should try and get all the colors. And the other quarter is meat and your starches. And I kind of was like, yeah. And I talked to my husband. I'm like, what do you think about this? Because in one way, my husband spent years telling me not to eat so much. And I was just like, how do you not do that? That was beyond me. And this was even before Weight Watchers. I was always hungry. And now I'm like, no, you're right. Just don't eat as much. It works out good. And then I asked him, I said, what about what she said about the way I'm eating? He goes, I've been watching the way you eat. He goes, I actually have no problems with the way you eat now, for once. He goes, I was always concerned with you overeating, even when you did Weight Watchers. And that was a lot for him. That meant a lot for me, that I was like, oh, good, thanks. He's like, no, for once, to me, you're eating more balanced than you have ever eaten. Because most of the time, my plate is 90% vegetables. And now a lot of them are green, but that doesn't mean they're always green. And you know what? When watermelon season comes back around, I'm gonna have a watermelon. I'm not gonna eat a whole watermelon like I would in the past. I'm gonna have a slice of watermelon. Because when you really start looking at your fruit, there's a whole lot worse things you could eat for carbs than fruit. So, fruit's not as bad as they make it. I just want to make it a general practice to live on them. And moving that sugar out of my system has just done so much for me. And a lot of it has just been inflammation. So I don't know if I answered. Do you guys have any direct questions? I know I'm over. I was late getting started. Like, direct questions for me about doing keto. I don't count anything. I just try to keep it in my window. Sometimes I fail. Because I keep it in the window, it's made my stomach shrink down. I keep it simple as possible. I eat a lot of vegetables. And if I want to have that adult beverage, I'm going to have that adult beverage. I don't have it every night. It's just a one time. And, if I want to have popcorn, I don't have it as a snack all the time. It's not my snack option at home. But when I'm out, I have it. If I'm out on a date night with my husband and it's chips and salsa, I'm going to eat some chips. And I'm going to eat some chips and I'm not going to feel deprived. Because if I cut everything out of my life, am I frozen? Oh my goodness, I hope I'm not frozen. If I cut everything out of my life, it's not going to be doable. But if I know I can have it, it's just, do I really want it? Then that's a lot more doable. All right, I think I'm frozen. Did you go through the process of finding what your macros should be and keeping it in the back of your mind, even though you don't do it daily? Nope. I don't do any macros. I don't even know what they should be. I don't even know if it's by cups or grams at all. I never looked it up. I know, like, you're supposed to stay, like, a lot of people are like 20 grams or 40 grams you should stay under a day. I don't even know what I ate. I just try to stick to low carb. Almost like pursuing zero carb and the knowings that I'll at least stay low that way is what I've done. I don't even consider vegetables. Like with my dressing, I don't measure it. I just dump it on there and I know that it's like less than 1 or 2 carbs and I hope that it all works out. And like keeping it that way, because here's the whole scheme of things. I picked a really good option so that if I choose not to measure it and I go a little overboard, it's still better than picking the bad option. Does that make sense? Like if I pick the best option I can and I eat a little too much of it, I'm still doing as good or better than having the appropriate tiny quantity of the bads. What was that? You're playing in here? Yeah. That was a crash and burn. I was kind of bummed with the thought of having to count stuff. I'm not good at that. I didn't have any of those apps on my phone to keep up with me. You know, if you just make it a point and lay out the fact that I'm going to do the best options and you go from there, eventually it's going to work out. And that's the big part too, is like at some point, your body's going to equal out. So like right now, my body's shrinking, but the weight's not leaving. Eventually, the weight is going to equal out. Everything's going to recalibrate itself. And that's what happened to me, is I didn't go out going, I only want to eat this much. My body recalibrated. And if you run into about too much, your body hasn't recalibrated in the amount it eats, then you need to go back and go, okay, what am I doing that's a little different? Do I need to be interfasting a little bit? You know, and for me, interfasting is just eating from noon to 8 p.m. kind of deal. Yeah, just have a couple of meal options. Stick to it. No, you're not having Pop Rocks right now. Thank you. They never do this to me. Just having a couple options. And mine were burgers and chicken thighs and salad and broccoli and butter. That's it. One of the side things that has happened is I'm a coffee and cream kind of person. And sometimes I now have coffee before my intermittent fasting time comes eating, because I found that was my balance. Not perfection, just progress. And it works for me. But I'm not getting like super amazing results. I'm not the 40 pounds in 1 month people, but nor do I want to be, because I've done the quick weight loss and it doesn't stay off. And if it's going to come off slowly, it means it's not going to come back on. Hopefully, kind of deal. So my big thing was the coffee creamer, the sugar-free coffee creamer, and I'd have all the sweeteners in there. And then I moved to heavy whipping cream. I don't want it in my coffee anymore. I now drink my coffee. I literally do a tiny drop of liquid stevia, like a half a teaspoon of pure and 2 packets of the stevia mix. For some reason, that's my master blend, and a drop of vanilla extract in my coffee. And I don't even drink a whole cup anymore. I don't need it, and I don't finish it. The only time I have anything in my coffee is when I go to my coffee shop and I have a flat white. And a flat white, and I have it made with heavy whipping cream, is steamed heavy whipping cream in the coffee, and then I put my stuff in it. And I love it. But I only have one every couple weeks or every other week, unless there's a lot of meetings that I have to go to. Then I have a little more of it. I was thinking doing more of a lazy keto for me. For me, I'm just like, I'd rather do a lazy keto for me right now, because I don't have the energy to go all keto, but I'm not even sure if it's that good for you to go that hardcore onto it. But just the fact of, I'd rather do a lazy keto and start now than to wait for the day that I'm ready to do it right. I'd rather do good enough than wait for an opportunity to do it right and do nothing until then. And so that's been kind of my mantra for doing this. Vicky says, right, I need a couple of meals and just stick to those. Yep. And you can eat boiled eggs. You know, my big part is if I feel like I'm eating a lot of meat, then I like step back and make sure you're getting in your greens. So broccoli, green bean. I don't even eat green beans anymore. I think I Weight Watchered out on those. I don't want to do them anymore. And then salads, spinach. I make sure you get in your vegetables, because the reality is doing the keto, it has to do with 3/4 of your plate should be a vegetable. And the last bit should be your fat and by volume, 3/4 of your plate should be vegetables, and then your fat, and then a little bit of meat if you need it. But I've also found I don't need as much cheese. So Vicky says, trying to get my HS planning done, my homeschool planning done, turning 50 in 2 months, and I would love to see a reset of my metabolism, would really give me a positive boost. It will. And the first week will be hard unless you keep in your electrolytes. And I personally like Powerade Zero, and I get the purple grape one because I don't like the blue or the red one. The orange one's pretty good though. Kind of deal. And and like in my like whole like break of this thing, I'm like, I don't want to be a size, I don't want to look like a 20-year-old. I want to be vibrant and healthy enough to keep up with my little children. I am 40 years old. I don't want to try and create a body that as though it never had 6 kids. My body has had 6 kids. My body is 40 years old. I don't want to expect things out of it that you would expect of a 20-year-old body. But I want it to be strong enough to keep up with life. And my life has little tiny children. And I have to keep up with that. There's some of my kids that will still not be teenagers when I turn 50. No, my last one will become a teenager in 10 years when I'm 50. I'll just have my last teenager, if we don't have any more kids. I mean, I don't really kind of done, but we'll see what happens. It's just, I just want to be able to live. I've been reading a blog and it has about Swerve. Any thoughts? I've tried Swerve. It's good, but my Walmart doesn't have it. And I'm almost living strictly on Walmart grocery pickup. I had 2 kids in my 40s. I'll be telling you something. I'll tell you, there's been a lot of restructuring in my life this summer, and I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better. I feel like I have more control of what's going on, that I've stopped fighting the idea of having kids. I know it's not right now, which is a nice feeling. But, there's days I'm like, is this really the last one? Or is this really my little baby who will always be my baby? And I don't know, but I'm at the point where I don't need to be worried about that anymore. I had 2 girls preach it. I'm going to be 50 with a 4-year-old. But don't you feel like it keeps you young? Like for a lot of the 40-year-olds I know, I have the youngest children, and they're just like, what? You're crazy. And I'm like, yeah, but for those that have kids that are their youngest are the age of my oldest, they're like already kind of living a kind of like retired, tired and retired life. And I'm like really young and vibrant next to them. It's so funny. Thanks to your video about joining Weight Watcher, I started a month ago, 18 pounds down. Yay! So Lone Star Mama, when you get to the point that you cannot stay on plan, I'm going to tell you this right now, jump to keto, because you'll handle that for so long. But if you don't have the willpower to maintain it, jump onto keto. Just keep that in the back of your mind right there, because I've had lots of good success with Weight Watchers, but I just couldn't keep it off. That's what my husband said. I told him it's because he isn't home with them all day. Then you get to keep up with grandkids, right? I'm just going to go from there to grandkids. So if you haven't done so, give me a thumbs up. If you're still here, I know I've had a very kind of crazy one today. Swerve is great for baking, but it does not completely melt in liquids. Oh, there you go. Thank you for answering that, Joelle. So I'm going to close this out in prayer. I'm sorry I was a little late today trying to do too much in a little bit of time. It just didn't work out right. But I'll get with you next week. Next week, I'm probably going to talk about surviving what it's like to be a CC director, because that will be the day after my first CC day. All right, I'm going to close this out in prayer. Dear Lord, first and foremost, I just want to lift up Stacy and her family to you as she is going through the discovery of cancer once again. Lord, thank you for the small victories, Lord, and just be with her family and bring her healing. Lord, in your will. Dear Lord, be with us as we are we deal with the struggle of just so much mixed information in the world. towards us on how to take care of this temple that you've given us, Lord. I know that it's not something to be worshipped, but yet it's a tool to be used. And just like we maintain our cars and put gas and keep the windshield wipers right and change the oil out, Lord, let us be just as mindful to take care of the vessel you've given us to use. Lord, just be with each and every one of them, every one of us that are here today and that come back later. Dear Lord, you know the struggles that we're dealing with, and I just pray that you bring hope and clarity to those things. In your son's precious name I pray. Amen. Alrighty. Good luck with CC. Thank you. I'm going to go back and watch after dinner. Got to cook now because we eat so early when my hubby is on nights. Oh, I bet you do. Thanks. Have a great week. Yes, have a great week, and I will see y'all later. Bye.